Welcome back to another episode of Your Pleasure Incorporated into Daily Living. Today is another phenomenal and funny story about my adventures as a sensuality consultant. So many years ago, I was doing this party down in Earl Weapons Station over here in Shrewsbury, New Jersey. And this particular hostess had had many parties. And every time she invited people, they were all a bunch of new people because her husband was in the military. So she knew a lot of people and she was constantly having one different group after another. There were a couple of times where the same few people would show up. And there was this one woman who at one point bought herself a set of Benoit balls. So the party ended, everything was great. Then about 3-4 months later, the same hostess had another party. And along with all the new people, that woman showed up again. Now, in the meantime, she had been doing her Kegel exercises with Benoit balls. So that just makes your pelvic floor very, very strong and your vaginal walls super sensitive, your whole area very, very tight. Anyway, so she had to tell the story, and this is a true story of what happened to her. So I want to share it with you because it's nuts. So it was a Sunday, and she and her 6 sons and her husband had gone to church in the morning. And then when they came home from church, they were going to have Sunday dinner together, as was their tradition. So she's got 3 boys on one side of the table, 3 boys on the other side of the table. Her husband is at the far end of the table. So everybody is helping because they're all military and they're all raised by a guy who's making sure everybody's doing what they got to do. So she's standing there at the counter and she's mashing potatoes, mashing these potatoes. Well, while she's mashing the potatoes, because she's a very efficient kind of woman, she had put the Benoit balls inside of her vagina and she was squeezing around them, doing her Kegel exercises while she was mashing those potatoes. Well, she must have mashed for, I don't know, maybe 5-10 minutes of mashing these potatoes. And finally, the roast was done. The table was set. Everybody was situated around the table. It was time to sit down and enjoy a nice meal with the family. So everybody sets the table and they put the potatoes at the far end of the table. And she was standing there at the head of the table, and she had been doing these Kegels for at least 10 minutes. And all of a sudden, the vaginal orgasm kicked in, and she was standing at the far end of the potato, and she almost kind of fell over a little bit. And all she could say to her family was, "Please pass the fucking potatoes." Well, everybody looked at her like, "Mom, what's wrong with you?" But when you're having a vaginal orgasm and you're standing, it's all you can do to hold yourself up because you actually lose muscle control of the lower part of your body because the orgasm itself is so intense and so phenomenal that, you really have to focus on standing. Well, anyway, I guess she must have stopped doing Kegels or she must have braced herself or whatever, and she recovered pretty quickly. And then she must have excused herself and gone in the bathroom and let the Benoit balls fall out. And then she came back in and just took from where she left off. The point of this story is Kegels and Benoit balls are a wonderful double duty because Kegels by themselves is an isometric exercise. Squeeze, relax, squeeze, relax, squeeze, relax. You can do the 4-second hold. You can do the up elevator or the down elevator. You can do the flutter. But any one of those that you're doing, every single one of them is an isometric exercise where you're pressing one part of the vagina against another part of the vagina. And you're pumping blood into the vaginal walls and specifically into the G-spot. Now, because you have Benoit balls in there, the Benoit balls are relatively heavy. They're about the size of a marble. So, and they weigh maybe a few ounces, but concentrated in a little ball. And you put one on top of the other, you put one in, and then you put the other one in, and you start to squeeze around them. Now, if you're standing, the balls start to slip down and out. And using nothing but your vaginal muscles, you squeeze around them and keep them from falling out. So that makes the isometric exercise all the more intense and pumps a whole lot more blood into the vaginal walls and into the clitoris. Well, you can only do that for just so long before you reach a fever pitch. You are building tension. At one point, tension has to give. You can't build tension indefinitely. And when it does hit, it is an intense flood of relief, which is the vaginal orgasm. And if you continue to do the Kegel exercises while you're having the vaginal orgasm, they will continue to come, one orgasm after another. There have been some really crazy numbers of orgasms that women have had, multiple orgasms, one after the other after the other. And it really is a testament to how beautiful the human body is and how much pleasure it most definitely can have. So if you're the kind of person that wants to have a level of satisfaction, intensity in your orgasm, tone to your vaginal walls, ease of getting the blood into the genitals, the labia, the G-spot, the clitoris, Kegel exercises are seriously important. It's good if you do them every single day. About 200 to 300 is nice. Today I went and got my nails done. And while I was waiting for them to dry, I did my 300 Kegels. But you can do them anywhere. Anytime you're waiting, if you're waiting in a line, if you're waiting at a light, anytime you're waiting, you should practice doing Kegels. And then by the end of the day, hopefully you'll get your 300 minimum in. But this woman did them while she was preparing food, and she was standing upright, because that's very, very important. You cannot lay down while you're doing Kegels, because then the balls are not sliding out and gravity is not pulling them downwards. So there's no extra work. And that's the whole point of these, is that there is extra work and you're making your vagina work exceptionally hard to get that, to keep those balls from falling out. So I tell people all the time, the pelvic floor is not a muscle that you can see, but it is absolutely part of the global muscular system inside your body. And gravity is constantly pushing everything down. So if you're the kind of person that doesn't want to have diapers for adults, underwear, when you're in your 40s and 50s, or if you laugh, cough, or sneeze and you urinate a little bit, your pelvic floor could use some work. And doing Kegel exercises, whether with Benoit balls or without Benoit balls, is essential to bringing that pelvic floor right up where it belongs. If you've had just one child, most likely your pelvic floor hasn't been traumatized too much. But if you've had two or more children, your pelvic floor has been stressed. And if you want to bring it right back to where it belongs, which is right behind the belly button, then you absolutely have to do this exercise. It's easy, it's discreet, you can do it pretty much anywhere, and it will save you in the long run from any kind of embarrassing situations, and it will also help you to achieve the most exquisite orgasms that your body can possibly have, which are multiple orgasms. I hope you found some benefit from this story. I hope you enjoyed my true story. It's one of the many stories of Adventures of a Modern Aphrodite. And if you are interested in that book, go to Amazon, look up Ellen Nicholas Rathbone, author, and you will see the different books that I have there. Adventures of a Modern Aphrodite, that story, and many others there. But in the meantime, I'll be sharing every single week one of the exceptional party stories that I experienced in my many years as a sensuality consultant. Thank you so much for joining me again today. I look forward to seeing you again next week for another Adventures of a Modern Aphrodite. Do your Kegel exercises. Your body will really thank you for them. Your orgasms will be much more intense. And even if you're a guy and you don't have to worry about pregnancy or any of that, doing Kegels will absolutely help you to control when you ejaculate and how strong your orgasm is. So you do them too. Thanks for joining me. Hopefully, I will see you next week, same time, same station at here at this podcast, Your Pleasure Incorporated into Daily Living. Thanks for joining me. Have a great night, a phenomenal summer, and I'll see you next week. Bye for now.